So you're telling me Hugh Freeze found out about Walker White's commitment the same time as the rest of us did?
Freezing temperatures are likely for several hours inland and a few hours closer to the coast.
Yes.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. And we are now joined by Auburn quarterback commit Walker White. That's got to be a pretty cool thing, right? I mean, I'm sure that recruitment process was pretty involved, pretty rigorous, and now you can say that's behind you.
Man, no doubt. It's been a long process. It's been an exciting process, but I'm just happy to be settled down, just getting to recruit my class and settle down with my senior team this year and go win a state championship. So I'm just very much at peace, and it sounds cool to be the quarterback committed to Auburn University. So I'm very excited.
It sounds like that last talk before your commitment ceremony with Hugh Freeze, and it sounds like other offensive coaches were involved with that as well, Walker. It sounded like that was a pretty important conversation. Obviously don't share everything, but what all kind of went into that, right?
Are you talking about when I was just at my visit?
What didn't he call you like the day before your ceremony and y'all had a long talk? Isn't that kind of what happened?
Oh yeah. So I actually just called Coach Austin. He was me and him never really got the chance to connect while I was at my visit, and all I've heard is good things about him. And so I called him. I was like, and I didn't tell the Auburn staff until I actually committed on the day. Like, I didn't tell them. They figured out through when I committed.
They found out what everybody else did.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah. So I wanted that to be exciting for them, but I had called them multiple times through the week, just like acting suspicious. I was like, listen, like, tell me how this would work if I came to Auburn, all that stuff. Because I was genuinely curious, but I wanted to know personally from Coach Austin how he would train me, because I had heard that he's just an offensive genius, a quarterback genius, really good trainer. So I called him. I was like, listen, if I came to Auburn, what would be the things you taught me? What would be your values? What would be your morals? Tell me how you would teach me and what I would learn from you, and just like what our time together would look like. And I didn't talk for probably the next hour. I mean, he just was going on, bam, 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 to shoot. And like, we do this, you'll learn this. And he would ask me a few questions. He'd be like, all right, what do you know about this? What do you know about this? Okay, well, I'll take that and do this. And your mechanics look pretty sound, but there's always a flaw and we can always get better. And we'll use these drills to fix that. And so, he was just rapid fire telling me about his past and the quarterbacks he's worked with. And so that was really cool. And that's probably what you heard. But Coach Freeze and the whole staff, I think like a day before that, they all FaceTimed me and just was like, we want you to come to Auburn, all this stuff. So even the week when I already knew where I was going, even the week heading into my commitment, they were still like, we want you to come here. Like, I hope you do, and all that stuff. So it was fun.
So how long did you know it was going to be Auburn before that commitment ceremony?
So I committed on the 3rd, right?
That was a Friday, I think.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And
I knew that 28th. I knew that the 28th of January.
You must have done a great job keeping it, within the family, because every national writer was projecting you either to Clemson or Baylor, and I think a few places even said Ole Miss there.
Yeah, so we kept it very, very, very closed off. Literally, like, me and my family knew, and one other person, and that was it.
When you've done that good of a job keeping it tight knit, I've always wondered this. This may be a silly question, but you and you had a bunch of people up there with you that had Auburn stuff like underneath pullovers and jackets. Are you ever paranoid that there's some Auburn stuff sticking out throughout the day when you've got all that stuff on?
Well, I didn't go to school that day, so I just kind of showed up with, and we all had the big jackets on, and I was wearing a collared shirt, and I showed up with the jacket that was showing a little bit of the collar, and I went up to my dad, and I was like, "Is this showing too much collar?" And he was like, "Yeah." And so me and my brother, who wasn't wearing a collared shirt, we switched jackets,
funny.
and so mine was covering my collar up pretty well, but no, I wasn't paranoid. I was just really excited because, there was at least 300 people behind those cameras. And so it was really fun to see everyone there that I love in my life. So it was very special moment for me.
Yeah. And there were several thousand watching it live on the 247 live feed on their YouTube. So, I mean, there were a lot of people there for sure. So I'm sure that was a cool moment. So the fact that Freeze and the rest of the staff didn't know until you announced, what was the first conversation with them like after that?
So I committed, I announced it, and then after the camera shut off from Steve Wilfong, everyone just started going crazy and all that, and I was hugging everyone, and we were taking pictures, and then I see my dad on the phone, and I was like, "Is that Freeze?" He's like, "Yeah, he wants to talk to you," and then he just put me on the phone with Freeze, and I got to say what's up to him, and he was just really excited, and I was just telling him how excited I was to become an Auburn Tiger, and that was just kind of how that conversation went. And then later that day, I got in contact with the other coaches as well, and it was just very special for myself, my family, and them. So it was I think it was I wanted to tell them before I committed, just because. For me, like I saw like a respect there, but my dad was like, no, you got to make it exciting for them. I was like, all right. So I ended up being happy with the way I did it, because it was a very fun thing to do.
Yeah, no, it certainly was fun. I'm sure you definitely made it exciting
Yes,
for
sir.
them. How often you guys talk now?
Very often. Most of the time, I'm just right now I'm just recruiting my class. I'll FaceTime with Coach Freeze and Coach Montgomery a couple times a week, but we're gonna start getting into the offense here pretty soon. But right now, it's just been me contacting these recruits and I've asked the coach, I'm like, all right, like what are the guys that y'all like? Give me their numbers, and I want to create these relationships.
How many folks are you talking to from a recruiting standpoint on a regular basis?
Probably 20 guys right now.
Dang. That's incredible. That's great. Is it all offensive players, or are you doing the whole class?
I'm doing the whole class, mainly the offensive players, but there's a couple other like linebackers or safeties that or DBs that I've been in contact with. So just what I'm saying is like, listen, like I want you to come play with me, not against me, because I don't want those guys against me. I want them on my team. So
right,
yeah.
Who are some guys in this class that you're talking to that you could see yourself throwing touchdowns to at Jordan-Hare Stadium in the future?
Yeah. I've been in contact with Mike Quavian Carr. I've been talking to Perry Thompson. Hopefully we can snatch him. I've been in contact with Martavius Collins, Cameron Coleman. Me and him talked a little bit. Micah Hudson. I mean, all those guys that I said on TV, those are the guys I've been talking to. And there's some others that I'm hitting up right now. But really, any of those guys will flourish in the offense that Coach Freeze and Coach Montgomery will put together. Do
you think calling those guys out worked? Do you think you kind of got their attention?
I think it did, personally. I think it was a good thing that I did that, just to kind of get it rolling. And obviously there's tons more guys that I'm in contact with and I personally want on around me. And so, the list wasn't restricted to that number of guys for sure.
Sure. We'll continue our conversation with Walker White in just a moment, but got to tell you about our friends at FanDuel. It is America's #1 sports book. You got to love all of the odds, props, and lines that they have out there. And look, new customers of FanDuel get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Use that no sweat first bet up to $1,000. FanDuel.com/locked-on. That is FanDuel.com/locked-on to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Was that your list, or did they help you with that list?
They had told me like some of the guys that they're recruiting, and I just put together a list.
I got you.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So as far as the scheme and the style of offense that Auburn's going to be running with Hugh Freeze and Philip Montgomery, how do you see yourself kind of fitting into that stylistically?
Yeah. So whenever I was at Auburn, me, Coach Montgomery, and Coach Freeze, we all just kind of like went over the basics of the offense, the specific rules. We haven't really gotten deep into, like what they've put together. But whenever Coach Freeze was drawing up on the board and telling me and showing me like what he likes, and what Coach Montgomery likes, I think they'll be able to use me very efficiently with being a pocket passer. But I also think that they'll know how to run me when I need to run, because I know personally that my legs are a threat to the defense. And so I'm sure like they will trust me on certain occasions where if they need to run me or they want to run me, then I'm all for that. But they are very spread. They'll run some 12 personnel, but I think I'll do whatever they need me to do, as good as they need me to do it. And that's just like one of the exciting things about Auburn is they can develop me, and they have the tools and coaches around me to teach me and develop me and how to run their offense efficiently. So I'm very excited.
When you're talking with Coach Freeze or Coach Montgomery and they get up on the whiteboard and start kind of talking about scheme and all that, is that a part of the game that excites you? Do you enjoy that part of being a quarterback?
Love that part. I love watching Coach Freeze just start drawing on the board. It was just such a cool experience. One of my favorite things in the world is talking football. Like there's been multiple visits at different schools where I would just talk football for 5 hours, and I love it. And that's one of my favorite things. I love to learn, because I don't know what I don't know. Like I'm not near as smart as I know I will be. Just because I just don't know what I don't know, and so that's what I'm really excited to get into is learning the tiny details about the game and how to identify coverages based on certain looks. So that's one part I'm very excited about the college game, is just learning more about both sides of the ball.
Sure. Have you watched Breaking Bad?
I've not watched Breaking Bad, but I think I know where you're going with this question.
It's just every time, we talked about you committing, how great it is for the class. It's so hard not to say Walter White. It is so hard.
I know. And I've seen people in the comments being like Heismanberg instead of Heisenberg, and they're like Walker the Cook White, and there's so many nicknames being created. So I love it. I personally think it's hilarious. But no, I've not seen Breaking Bad. I guess I need to, because apparently I resemble this Walter White dude, this drug dealer. So we'll see.
Well, I think the only resemblance is y'all's names are very similar.
Right,
I think it may stop there. Stop there, Walker. I like the White Walker because the whole winter is coming with Freeze type thing, the Game of Thrones theme. I like that the
tough.
most.
That's tough.
Have you seen Game of Thrones?
I haven't, but when I was like in 7th grade or something, I would everyone does this. So I would just go online and look up my name, and I would just see, I'd never seen Game of Thrones, and I would just see this like white monster. And I'm like, what in the world is that?
Oh, right.
And so like, I guess now it's the White Walkers in Game of Thrones. And so that's kind of a cool nickname.
That's funny. Yeah, especially with the Freeze stuff. I think it's cool. I also forget your age. You probably shouldn't be watching that now that I think about it. So I may get hammered in the comments for asking that question. So you mentioned when you committed at your ceremony, how your faith was important to you, and what Coach Freeze is doing culturally at Auburn was important. Talk about that for a little bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, for sure. One of the biggest things that hit me when I was at Auburn is Coach Freeze sharing his testimony, and that was really special to me and my family. And just hearing him talk about like his story, and my dad has always said, if you know a person's story, it's impossible not to love them, and because you just never know, you don't know where people came from. And in the same aspect with Coach Sweeney, when we were up at Clemson and he told us his story. Well, on the outside, everyone was just like, oh, he's a great man, and he is an outstanding man. But like where he came from is actually really cool and really sad, but it's a cool story. But just hearing him talk about that was really special, and talk about how, if I came to Auburn, like he'd push me to be a better player and a better person, but he would also push me in my faith. And that just really spoke a lot to me, because that is one thing that's important to me. And I know that I would not lose that faith culture that is centered around Jesus if I went to Auburn. And that was one thing that fired me up. Now it wasn't the tipping point, but it was one huge thing that really, really cared and mattered to me. And he was just saying, like, Walker, if you come here, like, you're going to stay close to the fire. Talking about, the Holy Spirit is there, and he preaches that, and he talks about it. And the players on the team, like, they're great Christian guys, and they have a Bible study, all this stuff. And so that was just like the brotherhood and just that culture that I know I would be walking into. It was really special for me.
Yeah, I've talked to and got good relationships with a few of the players on the team right now, and that's one of the things that they've seen, like from a big pivot from the previous staff to what Hugh Freeze has done already culturally. So I mean, it seems like it's legitimate. I don't think it's just a recruiting pitch. Is all I'm saying. Like I think it's genuine as far as who he is, which is great. And I think that kind of matches Auburn too, which is a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, no, I've talked with Tyler Fromm, and he's a senior there, and he just has told me about just how special the culture is now. I mean, he said it was a total change when Coach Freeze came, and it's cool to hear that from the players instead of just him. Yeah.
No, and Tyler Fromm goes to my church, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool stuff.
You go to the Church of the Highlands?
No, I thought he joined First Baptist, actually.
Okay.
I think. In Opelika, I could be wrong, but I swear I saw him there a few weeks ago. It could be some other ginormously huge person.
I don't know where he goes. Right. I don't know where he goes to church. My church's head pastor is best friends with the Church of the Highlands, like head pastor. And so like
Hodges. Gotcha.
There's a connection. Yeah, there's a connection there. So
gotcha. Yeah, no, that's a great church for sure. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Alumni Hall. It is the best place to buy all of your official Auburn licensed gear. All sports kind of going at the same time, with football just a week away. Basketball, hopefully they can finish a strong stretch here. And then obviously baseball, getting things going. Softball as well. Gymnastics wrapping up. It's a fun time. You need to make sure you're looking your best, feeling your best whenever you support your Auburn Tigers, and Alumni Hall is the best place to do all of that. A great variety of clothes, even kids. Kids stuff is awesome there. They've even got pajamas if you want to be comfy and still booging hard at night. You certainly can do that with the stuff at Alumni Hall. They've got some physical locations that are going to bring you all kinds of Auburn gear. The Alumni Hall location in Opelika is in Tigertown. The Auburn location's off South College Street, and they have a location in Huntsville as well. Or you can head over to alumnihall.com. So are you planning to be an early enrollee when this is all said and done?
That's the plan. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I assume football is your favorite sport. What is your second favorite sport?
Probably basketball. I'm not great at basketball. Trust me, that's not what I'm saying. But
sure,
it's fun. It's fun to play. It's very competitive, and So I'm really like this when it comes to basketball. So I'm either on or I'm not. But most of the time I'm not on.
Yeah.
But it's fun to play with my friends, especially. We've been getting into a lot of pickup basketball and church league basketball, so it's a lot of fun.
Sure. So what are your goals as you're gearing up to kind of prepare for your senior season at the high school level? What are some things you want to achieve? I know you mentioned state championship. What all goes with that?
Man, that's a good question. I think a lot of people talk about we're going to the championship this year. Well, in Nick Saban's book, I can't remember the title of it, but he talks about stop preaching about the destination, but start preaching on the things that it takes to get to your destination. And so it's just there's going to be a lot of discipline, obviously a lot of work and lots of reps for me and my receivers, lots of reps in throwing routes, timing, and all of our receivers are coming back this year. So I think we'll be really, really set, senior heavy, very experienced. And so I feel like this is really the year for us. But it's going to be a fun summer full of 7-on-7s and reps. And we're going actually down to Alabama to, I think it's we're going to Birmingham, Alabama to participate in a 7-on-7 with some of the top 10 teams. So that'll be really good for us just to kind of see that competition. But it's going to be a grind. We've been so close both years. I've been quarterback, and my goal for my friends and for my team and for our school is to win our second state championship, and I hope I can do that for them.
Yeah, I hope you can too, man. That'd be awesome. What part of your game are you trying to kind of take to the next level this offseason?
I would just say my passing game.
Okay.
But like kind of both, because near the end of the season last year, I learned pretty late about when to run the ball in certain situations and when not to run the ball and when to just throw it away or something like that. And so I feel like I want to continue to grow on that aspect of my game, but also just like kind of like my presence in the pocket and delivering the ball more accurately, just kind of being more poised in the pocket. That's like one thing I'm focused on, just that accuracy and being smooth in the pocket instead of stiff, and just kind of like letting the game slow down for myself. So that's one thing I've been focusing on.
A lot of that's just reps, right? Just doing it over and over and over again.
100%.
Eventually it slows down, right?
Yeah. Experience. I mean, yeah, for sure. But it's also just repetitive of feeling your body over and over. One of the best things in the world for a quarterback is just to go throw into a net and just feel your body, feel like, okay, that felt good. That looked good when it came out. How can I repeat that over and over and over again and make it my muscle memory? And so that's one thing for me. Like, I've just been needing to feel my body feel loose and breathe through my throw. And so that's just one thing I've been focused on.
Do you have a list of quarterbacks that you enjoy watching and studying and trying to kind of emulate what they do?
Yeah. So one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch, not because he's the GOAT, but because of his pocket presence. So Tom Brady's pocket presence and his pocket movement is insane. Yeah, he can throw the ball, but he's not very mobile, so I don't really model myself after him. But sure. I want my presence to be like his. Aaron Rodgers' accuracy and his arm strength, I want mine to be like him. So I watch him on that. And then Josh Allen, like how he kind of has all three, like his pocket presence, his arm strength and accuracy, and the way he can run. And so I model myself after Josh Allen. He's a little bit bigger than I am. He's like 6'4", or he's like 6'6", right?
Yeah, he's a unicorn.
Yeah, he's like 6'6", 240. So there's a little bit different body type right there, but I do model myself after him because I just feel like he's a complete quarterback. And so that's kind of like, those are the main quarterbacks I've watched. I've loved watching Drew Brees when he played.
Sure.
Kind of just how intense he moves and with purpose. And so, I kind of take a little bit from everyone.
When you were meeting with Freeze and the rest of the staff, did he show you any tape from his teams, whether it was at Ole Miss or Liberty, where it's like, this is kind of what we want to do with you?
Yeah, it was more of me watching Montgomery stuff.
Oh, okay.
I watched. Actually, it was kind of a mixture of both. I watched RG3's time, and when he
They
was
gave
at
you
Baylor,
the RG3 pitch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
That's awesome.
I got to watch RG3 a little bit, and then I watched some of Coach Montgomery's time at Tulsa, and then I also got to watch Malik Willis at Liberty. So I kind of got to watch all three, which is kind of cool. So just kind of see, okay, like this, see both of their minds, and kind of see like, I didn't see any Ole Miss stuff. Okay. But no, it was cool to see all three of those.
Yeah, I bet. Well, Walker, thank you so much for your time, man. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, best of luck. Best of luck with off-season workouts. I'm sure spring's coming up for you, and in preparation for your senior season. Thank you so much to Walker for joining us on the show today. Good stuff from him there. Tomorrow, we're talking more Cruton. Who could join Walker White in the class of 2024 for the Auburn Tigers, as John Garcia will join us to break it all down. Until then, we'll see you tomorrow. This has been Locked On Auburn.